Do you believe in the paranormal? Every day, millions of people claim to have experienced some mysterious event. That's why they always have a video camera at hand to help them record the terrifying moment, from objects that move on their own to spooky, ghostly presences. However, although most of the time all these appearances take place during the night, it doesn't mean that daylight is an impediment for those entities to manifest themselves. If you don't believe us, then you have to watch with us this compilation of 5 paranormal activities caught in daylight. But before we begin, make sure you hit the subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Mysterious Shadow. Going out for a walk is always pleasant. Nothing better than releasing the stress that work and college causes, especially if it's a city you don't know. You can have the opportunity to visit shops, get to know touristic places, and even have a romantic date. Why not? However, although everything seems amazing, we must not forget that our world is complex and mysterious. Do you imagine being outside and coming across the figure of a ghostly entity while crossing the street? You probably don't. That's the last thing you expect when you leave the house. We're sure that just thinking about the terrible fear you would feel is enough so that you don't want to leave home. But that was exactly what happened on the morning of October 4th, 2014, in the city of New Orleans. A security camera was responsible for capturing on video the exact moment in which a mysterious shadow crossed the street from one side to another, just as if it were a pedestrian. Just watch the images carefully. The dark silhouette, with definitely humanoid features, appears suddenly only to vanish in a matter of seconds in the same way. At the same time, on the other side, a group of tourists is crossing this avenue, but in the opposite direction. And although the majority seems to ignore what has just happened, one of them manages to notice the situation because he immediately stops and looks at where the silhouette has just passed. Did you notice it now? If you still don't, go ahead and play the video on repeat as many times as necessary. It's not every day a security camera is able to record a mysterious situation in the middle of the street and much less at broad daylight. Obviously, many theories came to life after this video was made public. As always, the skeptics assume it was a montage, a computer rendition, and that it was posted to attract attention. On the other hand, others did believe in the veracity of the images the camera captured, claiming to have had similar experiences when they were walking in the areas near their homes. What do you think? Maybe it's not a real ghost. Perhaps some special effects and a game of lights had manipulated the images to make us believe something that's not. But the reaction of the tourist who looks to where the shadow disappears still causes curiosity in some people. The final decision is up to you. Number 4. Flying objects. What would you think if upon arriving at your house, you discover it's a disaster? And by this, we don't mean finding a mess like the ones small children cause when they leave toys scattered on the floor, much less the ones that your pets leave behind when they play with food. And don't let the name of the spot fool you. Neither will we talk about UFOs or aliens, but rather about those other events that have no explanation. Those in which people are obliged to place surveillance cameras in their homes so they capture any kind of strange activity. Well, although you probably think the night would be the right time to record what happens around your home, the truth is that sometimes it doesn't matter the time of day. The spectra or paranormal entities will manifest themselves in any way. If you don't believe us, then we'll show you what happens in broad daylight in the corridor of the main entrance of a house. Without explanation, the magazines that are on top of a wooden shelf begin to move on their own. Some even rise through the air and are thrown strongly against the front wall and the door. Can you believe it? The cabinet also opens and closes several times, as if it were being manipulated by an external force. This recording, as well as many others with similar materials, went viral after it was made public. How is it possible that something like this happens? We tried to find an explanation, but none seems acceptable. A powerful current of air would make something like this happen. However, not all of them were thrown to the ground. If you paid enough attention, then you probably noticed that the vase on the table didn't move. This remained motionless. Also the mirror and picture that were behind. What do you think now? Did you get goosebumps? Fortunately, no one was passing by. The force with which the objects moved would have been able to hurt an innocent person. But we're sure this family will never forget what happens when they leave their home. And if they ever do, this video will always remind them. Number 3. The Ghost of the Park. If you live with small children, sure on more than one occasion they have convinced you to visit the park. How can someone reject a proposal so full of sweetness like the one they do when they speak to you? Sometimes it seems impossible to do so, and taking the opportunity to do something different and sharing a fun moment with the youngest people in the house doesn't sound like a bad idea. However, plans don't always turn out as you expect, and finding yourself with a ghostly presence that ruins your wonderful day of relaxation is something that, believe it or not, can happen. You don't believe us? Well, let us tell you that this was precisely what happened in some region of Asia several years ago when some children were playing in the park. Although, playing isn't the most accurate definition, because at the beginning of the video, there's a clear violent behavior from some of the youngest people towards the other two who were using the workout machines. Just pay attention to the images. The boy in the blue shirt not only pushes the little girl who is calmly swinging on one of the machines against the grass, but also approaches the other child and tries to knock him down as well. When he doesn't succeed, he starts using the typical bullying strategy and threatens to hit him. We don't know what could have caused this hostile behavior in the boy, but what happens next could be a clear manifestation that karma is a real deal. Do you want to know what we mean? Then keep watching. The child who didn't allow himself to be intimidated by the bully goes to his friend to help her get up off of the floor. When it seems that both have decided to leave the boy with the blue shirt alone, one of the machines the children were using to play begins to swing on its own. It moves as if someone was using it. Can you imagine experiencing something similar? Immediately, they all move away from the place, frightened by the presence of an unknown entity. While they run, they also pass by a baby rocking horse that is moving, and their fear only increases. We're sure the victorious smile on the face of the bully vanished completely after that incredible fright. Will he have learned his lesson? He probably won't mess with the other kids when he goes to the park. What do you think? Perhaps the spirits also hated abuse and aggression towards others. In that case, the two friends have a lot to thank the ghosts for. Number 2. Forbidden game. Have you ever played golf? If so, then you know the best place to do it is outdoors. A large garden with well-kept lawns could be the perfect place to go golfing. After all, the idea when practicing is to keep a significant distance from one hole to another, unless you want to cheat, but that's another thing. The point is that some people seem to prefer staying at home to play it. Yep, as you heard it. And that's not exactly because they have a majestic backyard. The next video is about a couple who decides to play golf in the small room of their house during the morning and record the moment. Maybe they don't mind ending up with some broken glass or vase, but the interesting and scary part of the situation starts later. Just watch. While the girl focuses on her shot, the front door of the apartment suddenly opens, and the wind isn't responsible for this. The confusion in the couple is evident. When the man approaches the entrance to verify it's not a practical joke from a neighbor or a friend, one of the dining room chairs moves on its own, as if it was being dragged by somebody. How about that? The video, like all the previous ones, has generated a lot of controversy through the internet. Was it the wind? We don't think it's possible when it has been stated that the door was closed. The abnormal movement of the chair couldn't have been due to the wind, however strong it may have been. The only answer many people found to this event, and even those who recorded the scene, was the presence of some possible ghostly entity. What do you think? We're sure you wouldn't want to live in a house like that. It's just a matter of looking at the panic reaction in the couple to want to run away. Did the entity get angry at them for playing golf? Well, probably these young people won't try it again, much less in a small space like a house or an apartment. Number 1. Factory cart. In the golden position of our top 5, we have a particular video that has been leaked to the web. In the morning hours, a surveillance camera captured what could be a paranormal activity in the vicinity of a factory. With so many workers and personnel performing their routine operations, anyone would consider it strange that some possible ghostly entity would manifest itself. But, as we said before, mysterious events have no specific time or place. They just happen. And this recording has made it clear. At first, there seems to be nothing strange. The only worker in the warehouse is arranging some chairs and then leaves. The spooky thing starts later, when a freight cart that was laying motionless on the side of a table moves forward as if it were being pushed by somebody. The man, who had just left, returns and watches what has just happened. He sure was thinking that it could be some badly placed brakes, so he places the cart on its spot. Both he and another of the workers resume their work and move away from there, not knowing that by reviewing what the surveillance camera captured, they would find something terrifying. Many people believed it was really the brakes, but others don't consider it possible. There was nothing that drove the little cart to move, especially when you pay enough attention and realize that the cart doesn't always move forward, which we could say is due to some inclination on the floor. Instead, it seems to turn to the side. It only stops as soon as the worker appears. What do you think now? If there really is a ghostly presence inside this factory, it's most likely that its workers will start to stay away from that warehouse. We don't think they want to be victims in the future of possible objects in movement, much less when they don't know the type of entity they're dealing with. Alright, Top Fivers, if you haven't already, make sure to visit our other channel, The Brilliant, for even more interesting list videos that'll blow your mind. But I'm warning you, the videos over on The Brilliant are extremely addicting to watch as well. There'll be a link in the description to the channel, so make sure to come and visit us. Or you can go to our latest video popping up on screen right now. Oh, and have you visited TheFinestPost.com to enjoy the most amazing articles you'll ever get to read? If not,